Hello, I'm Mike and this is Will. We are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we're bringing issue 23 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine today. This issue came with part 1 of 2 of some Guardian Defenders to fill out our Aeldari Combat Patrol. And in today's game we'll be learning the Space Marine faction rule Oath of Moment. We're looking through the issue first. First up we have the build guide for our Guardian Defenders. So you can see here all the bodies. There are specific torsos and legs that should go together. Then we have the arms that have the shuriken catapults as they're called. There will be extra arms on the sprue because this kit also makes another type of Guardian squad, but you want to go for Guardian Defenders, which are the ones with these guns. And likewise, for the heavy weapons platform, there are a variety of weapons. You should do this one for the Combat Patrol, although realistically, you could use whichever one you want, as long as you use the correct rules and didn't change during the game, no one would mind. And then some more background on the weapons of the Aeldari. The Aeldari are the Aeldari who live on the craft worlds, and they have this very advanced weaponry, and they dedicate themselves to training with a specific type of weapon, so that they tend to be highly skilled at them. Of which you can see some of them here. So I'll just go over the shuriken catapults, which fire these razor-sharp discs at high speed, and the star cannon, which is an advanced plasma-type weapon, much more advanced than any Imperial plasma weapons, which tend to blow up. The D cannon that can tear a hole in reality, and the bright lances as a high-powered laser weapon. And then we have some background on the paths of the Aeldari. So the Aeldari, as a people, are drawn to excess. So the paths are a way to try and guide them to follow a path, and to follow that path to the exclusion of all else. Although some Aeldari may choose to change their path later in life, because they do obviously live for an extremely long time. So we have some here. So the path of the outcast is for Aeldari who decide to leave their craft worlds or choose to not swear allegiance to a craft world. So they might go out and fight as rangers or perhaps become mercenaries. We have the path of the warrior. Aeldari who dedicate themselves to the path of the warrior will dedicate themselves to an aspect of Cain, the bloody-handed god, for which there are a number of different cults, and they become an aspect warrior. And then the path of the seer, where an Aeldari who is a particularly powerful psyker might become a far seer and be able to see the future, although those who advance too far down the path of the seer are doomed to eventually turn to crystal. And then we have some more background on the Great Rift, the Imperium Nihilus and the Imperium Sanctus, the two halves of the Imperium. Life in the Imperium Nihilus is very hard fought, cut off from the Astronomicon, so warp travel must obviously be very difficult. You can see Rabute Gilliman on the left, who leads the Imperium Sanctus, and Dante, the Chapter Master of the Blood Angels, who is in charge of the Imperium Nihilus. And some more background on the Cicatrix Maledictum, the Great Rift. The Nachman Gauntlet is one of the few stable corridors. And now we have a name generator for our Aeldari, so it gives a little bit there about how to actually use the name tables. So you can come up with the name of the squad leader and then a unit epithet. You can choose one that fits your unit or just roll randomly. But now I can hand you over to Will, and you can take us into today's game.
So obviously we can't use our new Guardians yet because we're still waiting for some parts for them, so in this issue we're going to be learning about Oath of Moment, which is the Space Marine Combat Patrol's faction rule. All of the Combat Patrols have a faction rule which describes how that particular Combat Patrol wages war, and in the Space Marines case that is called Oath of Moment, which represents the Space Marines swearing oaths to destroy the enemies of the Emperor. And the way it works is at the start of your command phase you can select one unit in your opponent's army, and until the start of your next command phase that unit is your Oath of Moment target, and every time you attack the Oath of Moment target you can re-roll hit rolls, with both shooting and with melee attacks. And down here it just shows a couple of data sheets and where the faction rule appears on them, so every data sheet will have a faction heading under the abilities section. And here's a quick tutorial for it, although it's fairly straightforward. When you're rolling to attack you can re-roll hit rolls. There is a reminder that you can only re-roll rolls once, you can't keep re-rolling until you get a hit. But there's also an extra bonus that the Terminators get, because their rule on their datasheet, Fury of the First, allows them to add 1 to hit against the Oath of Moment target as well as getting the rerolls, so they get even more benefit from attacking whatever you've chosen. And then we have a tutorial playthrough where there's 2 players playing a combat patrol game and joining the action in turn 2. The Terminators are still waiting to arrive via Deep Strike, and 2 Space Marines have been lost. But then moving to the Space Marines' turn, the Terminators arrive via Deep Strike. They pick the Psychophage as their Oath of Moment target and they shoot and subsequently charge it. And then in the Tyranid turn, the Terminators are still in combat with the Psychophage, and the Oath of Moment does persist until the player's next command phase, and so they still get the benefit, and in doing so manage to kill the Psychophage in the Tyranid player's turn. And on the final page there's a recap of the ability and some considerations to think about when picking your Oath of Moment target, particularly depending on what your Terminator is going to attack, because they get that extra benefit from their Fury of the First rule. But because there's no set game in this issue, we'll be playing another Combat Patrol game using the Space Marines and the Tyranids to try out the new rule. So we will follow the process from the previous issue, get the board set up, and get straight into the game. So here's an aerial view of the battlefield that we've set up. We've also gone ahead and deployed. We followed through all the steps. If you want to see how those work, then you can go watch the previous video where we went through them in detail. We're using the same mission as before, Clash of Patrols, so we've got the 4 objectives in the centre. And as a reminder, there's 5 victory points for controlling each objective from the second battle round onwards, up to a maximum of 15 per turn. We haven't been told about the secondary objectives yet, so we won't be using those, and we won't be using anything we haven't had introduced yet, either like enhancements or the faction-specific stratagems. And we're using the alternate side of the board with the sort of wasteland terrain, and we've set the terrain cards up in sensible locations. Have a look at the Space Marine deployment first. We've chosen to use the alternative units for the Combat Patrol in this game, so I've replaced the Librarian with the Chaplain on bike, and the Tyranids have replaced the Barbgaunts with the Parasite of Mortrex. So the Chaplain is on the left by himself, the Captain is leading the unit of Terminators in the middle. I've deployed them on the board rather than in Deep Strike because they need to be doing things early, and the Infernus Marines on my right flank. And here we have the Tyranid deployment on the other side.
So my left flank I have the Tyranid Prime, next to him is a unit of Termagants in range of Objective 1, so they can hopefully sticky it straight away. Put the Psychophage in the middle this time, so it's not going to get stuck on one corner of the battlefield. And I've got the other unit of Termagants to head towards Objective 2. And I have the Von Ryan's Leapers here hidden behind a train piece, and just off the board is the Parasite of Mortrex because I deployed it in Deep Strike, so it can come in and maybe steal an objective later in the game.
So then we just need to roll off to see who gets the first turn. I rolled a 4.
And I rolled a 3.
So it will be Space Marine's turn 1. So in my command phase I can pick an Oath of Moment target, and I'm going to select the unit of Termagants between the Psychophage and the Tyranid Prime. So until the start of my next command phase I will get to reroll all hit rolls against that unit. And then I've moved, the Terminators have moved up normally so they can shoot, but both the Infernus Marines and the Chaplain have advanced. The Chaplain's come over to the other side, because if he goes to fight the Von Ryan's Leapers, they'll probably kill him. And the Infernus Marines are able to get 3 of their number on Objective 3, which will be important in the next turn. But then I'll have the Terminator unit to shoot, the only unit that can do so, and I'll shoot at that unit of Termagants that are the Oath of Moment target. So I'll do the Assault Cannon first, and because they are the Oath of Moment target, their Fury of the First ability gives them +1 to hit, as well as re-rolling failed hits. So we're going to be hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s effectively. Not going to re-roll anything that he already has hit, obviously. So you get 6 hits thanks to the re-roll, and then we'll be wounding on 2s, 6s being devastating wounds. Get 1 devastating wounds and 5 normal ones with no AP.
5 plus saves. Made 1, so that's 5 dead so far.
Then we have the Storm Bolters, and I'll throw the Captain in at the same time, because even though normally he hits on 2s and the Terminators only hit on 3s, with the +1 to hit from Fury of the First, which he does benefit from because he's part of the unit at the moment, everything will be hitting on 2s, but a 1 is always a miss, so the Captain actually gets no benefit from Fury of the First, we'll just be hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. Got 4 1s to reroll, into another 1, so it would be 9 hits overall, and then wounding on 3s. And that was 5 wounds.
So 5 plus saves. Made 2, so we have 2 Termagants left after all that.
So, Oath of Moment helping there, we've only got 2 Termagants left in that unit. But that will be the end of my turn, because both my other units advanced, and obviously I'm not charging anything. So with that we'll be on to Tyranid's turn 1. So Tyranid command phase are up to 2 command points each, and those Termagants have to take a battle shock test.
So leadership 8. They passed. That's important, because that means they'll get to sticky objective 1.
Yeah, so as a reminder, being a battle line unit and not being battle shocked, they hold objective 1 in the command phase, and so it's now under the Tyranid control until someone else takes control of it.
Over on the left-hand side of my movement, the Tyranid Prime has moved, so he's directly in front of the Infernus Marines. The 2 remaining Termagants advanced. I had to reroll a 1 into a 4 to get them behind the cover. I think if I rolled a 6, I might have been able to get them in range of objective 3, but it's not to be. The Psychophage has moved into the middle, see if it can make a long charge into the Terminators. The other squad of Termagants advanced to get on objective 2, while the Von Ryan's Leapers also advanced to get them behind the other bit of terrain skirting around the edge of the board. Now shooting, I'll start with the Termagants, see if they can chip a wound off the Terminators. 10 shots on 4s, 5 hits, wounding on 4s.
1 2+ save, made it.
Now the other 2 Termagants will shoot at the Terminators as well. Well, they both hit, no wounds. And then the Psychophage is going to have to use its Psychoclastic Torrent on them. D6 shots, 4, wounding on 3s because it automatically hits, 2 wounds at -1.
2 3+ saves, made those.
Then we're on to the charge phase, where I'll do the Tyranid Prime first. Now a 4 is enough to get him in, and then the Psychophage will try and charge the Terminators as well, just to hold them up. 6 isn't going to be enough, I don't think, so I think I will reroll that. Into an 8, that is going to be enough, I reckon. So the Tyranid Prime just goes directly into the Infernus Marines, and 8 inches is indeed enough to get into the Terminators. I'm going to charge at an angle like that because the Terminators will have to sort of fold in, try and limit the number that can actually get to fight it this turn. Both my units get to go first, so I'll roll for the Tyranid Prime on the Infernus Marines. 6 attacks on 2s, getting 4 hits, and wounding on 3s. 3 wounds at AP -1.
3 4+ saves, therefore. Only failed one. I think I'll take that. I'll save my reroll for a Terminator.
And then the Psychophage attacking the Terminators. D6 +1 attacks. 6. Fortunately, I didn't do any damage to them, so I'm going to be hitting on 3s. 4 hits. These are wounding on 3s, 6s are devastating. 1 wound, AP -1.
1 3+ save. Well, I did fail that, so I'm glad I saved my command point. So if they take damage there... Oh no, they still take damage, so the Psychophage will now be hitting better against them. So the Terminators will pile in, but indeed I can actually only get the Captain and the front 2 in because they're blocking their friends, and we don't know about being able to fight from behind friendly models yet. So I'll do the Captain. He has 4 attacks hitting on 2s. 1 miss. And wounding on 5s. 1.
5+ armour. Nope. Feel no pain. Ignored 1. It's down to 9.
The Sergeant with a Power Sword, hitting on 3s. They all hit. Also wounding on 5s. Oh, 2 wounds from that, but these are only 1 damage each. Well, that's 2.
5+ armour again. Made 1. Feel no pain. Took damage. Down to 8.
And 1 Power Fist hitting on 3s. Well, those all hit, and wounding on 5s. Nothing, but I've got a command point now, and I don't need the rerolls for hits and things now because of the Oath of Moment. Oh, I did get a wound with a reroll.
Didn't save. Ignored 1 point damage. Down to 7.
Future Will here. Unfortunately, I shouldn't have actually been allowed to do this because I'd already spent a command point for the reroll stratagem during this phase, so I shouldn't have been getting that wound, and the Psychophage should be on 1 more wound than it actually is. I guess because the first reroll was a fail, you could just pretend that one didn't happen and this was the actual reroll, and I should have just had an extra command point left over. Fortunately, as you'll see, this mistake doesn't affect the outcome of the game, apart from being a command point down.
And then when they consolidate move, they'll actually move round so that next turn I'll get at least 1 more fighting. And then the Infernus Marines will move just around the Tyranid Prime. 12 attacks from them, hitting on 3s. 9 hits, wounding on 5s. 2 wounds.
2 4+ saves. Made 1. Down to 5.
But that will be it for Tyranids turn 1. On to Space Marines turn 2. This turn I will make the Psychophage the Oath of Moment target, because if we don't kill it quickly it's just going to bog the Terminators down for a long time. And I also hold 2 objectives, gaining me 10 victory points, and I can do Gather Intelligence, the mission-specific rule. Let's do it on objective 3, because the Tyranids might take control of that later, gaining me an extra command point. And then the Terminators will stay in melee, because it'd be pretty pointless to make the Psychophage the Oath of Moment target and then run away. The Infernus Marines will fall back, though, because they don't want to fight the Tyranid Prime. They're going to stay on objective 3, and the Chaplain is going to go over and fight the Tyranid Prime. The only shooting I have will be the Chaplain, because he's the only thing that didn't fall back or still in combat. He's going to shoot his twin bolt rifle at the 2 remaining termagants in that cover. And I can use Catechism of Fire when I do so to give him devastating wounds against them. 2 shots on 3s. They're not the Oath of Moment target anymore, but they do still hit. And wounding on 3s, re-rolling because it's twin linked, and devastating wounds thanks to Catechism of Fire. So I can re-roll that fail. Oh, into a devastating wound. So 1's just dead, and 1 has to take an armor save with cover at AP -1.
So 5+ armour. Oh, it rolled off a 5.
And then the Chaplain will charge. I'm not going to roll it because I just want him to go in like that. And he gets to fight first. Chaplain has 5 attacks, hitting on 2s. They all hit. And they wound on 3s because it's strength 6. We get 1. I want to save the reroll to keep a Terminator alive. So just 1 wound at AP -1.
5+ armour. Nope.
2 damage.
Then it's my pick, so I'll do the Psychophage. D6 +1 attacks again. 3. That'll have to do. Hitting on 2s though, because the Terminators have taken damage now. They'll hit. Wounding on 3s, 6s are devastating. 3 wounds at AP -1.
3 3+. Failed 2, so we will be losing a Terminator, and we'll re-roll one of the fails into a success. So yeah, just to kill the injured Terminator. And we can pile in to get another Terminator into the melee. Do the Captain's attacks, hitting on 2s. Re-rolling now because of Oath of Moment, so it still manages to miss once. Wounding on 5s though, don't get any benefit to wounding. Oh, we got 3 wounds though.
5+ armour. Made 2. And feel no pain. Still took 2 damage, down to 5.
Then we've got the Sergeant, 4 attacks on 2s though, because Fury the First does work in melee, and it is now the Oath of Moment target. So that did help, and we can reroll the 1. Yep, 4 hits. 5s from him. He gets 2 wounds as well, but these are only 1 damage.
Saved 1. Feel no pain. Ignored it.
And now 2 Power Fists in range, hitting on 2s and wounding on 5s. 2.
5 plus armour. Failed, so I will re-roll now. Nope. Feel no pain. Didn't ignore any. It's down to 1. Finally, the Tyranid Prime on the Chaplain. 6 attacks on 2s. They will hit. Wounding on 3s because he's strength 6. 5 wounds at -1.
5, 4 plus saves, because he only has a base 3 plus. He takes 4 damage, he's down to 1. So both the Chaplain and the Psychophage gravely injured as we head into Tyranid's turn 2. So there will be Battle Shock test for the Psychophage to take.
Leadership 8. So it fails.
Probably doesn't matter though, because it doesn't hold Objective 4 anyway, but the Tyranids do hold 2 and gain 10 victory points, and they can also gather intelligence.
Yeah, I'll do that on Objective 1. So the Tyranid Prime is going to stay in combat, and the Psychophage pretty much has to stay in combat because if it falls back it might just die immediately. The Tamil gets advanced and roll a 5, that gets them back towards Objective 1, basically in range of the Infernus Marines, try and chip away at them. While the Von Ryan's Leapers are coming around to try and help hold up the Terminators. And then I'm going to bring in the Parasite of Mortrex on the edge of the battlefield. It's going to try and charge the Infernus Marines, and I'm putting it there so that if it fails its charge, it will still be hidden from them. When it charges it can go over the terrain. And then the Termagants are going to shoot at the Infernus Marines because they're the only potential target. 10 shots on 4s, 4 hits, wounding on 3s. 2 wounds, no AP.
3s, made those.
In the charge phase, I'll do the Von Ryan's Leapers first because I think they're more important. Needing about 6, and 8 is going to be enough. And then I'll roll for the Parasite of Mortrex charging the Infernus Marines. It's going to need a 9. It gets an 11, so it's in as well. So the Von Ryan's Leapers will finish their charge like that. Hopefully this one can pile in around and that one can pile into the space. While the Parasite of Mortrex will come into the edge of the Infernus Marines like that.
And then the Parasite of Mortrex can force the Infernus Marines to take a Battle Shock test, which they fail with a 2, so they have no OC, which means the Tyranids will actually be taking control of Objective 3.
So the Von Ryan's Leapers I'm going to pick to fight first, and they're going to pile in so I can get them all in on the Terminators. So 18 attacks hitting on 3s. 13 hits, wounding on 4s. 5, that'll have to do.
5, 3 plus saves, failed 2. I'll put those on the Sergeant because he's probably the least useful at this point.
Then the Parasite of Mortrex will go, I'll use its ovipositor first because it's got enough damage to kill a Marine outright. It hits on a 2, it does, and it wounds on a 3 because it's anti-infantry 3 plus. It does not. And then it has 6 attacks with its clawed limbs on 2s, getting 4. And wounding on 3s. Getting 1.
AP -1, so
Yeah.
4 plus save. Oh, made that, so it doesn't do any damage at all. So I'll do the Chaplain because I think he's the most likely to die. I might lose a Terminator, but I don't want to lose the Chaplain as well. 5 attacks on 2s, they all hit, and wounding on 3s. Well, it's better than last time, there's 3 wounds at -1.
5 plus saves. Made 2.
Oh.
I'll take that.
Down to 1.
And now I'll do the Psychophage on the Terminators. D6 plus 1 attacks. 7 attacks hitting on 2s because the Terminators are damaged. 6 hits, wounding on 3s. 6s are devastating. Get that in the box. That's 4 wounds at -1. Still no devastating.
4 3 plus saves. We failed 2. I'll take that because it will just kill the Sergeant and do 2 wounds to somebody else. And I want to save the reroll to keep the Chaplain alive. I'll do the Terminators. The wounded one is going to continue round to try and get into range to fight, but still can't get there even with a pile-in move. And then I'm going to put the Captain on the Von Ryan's Leapers and the 2 Terminators that are fighting the Psychophage to try and finish that off. So the Captain has 6 attacks, not re-rolling because this is not the Oath of Moment target, so he misses twice. I want to save the command point for the Chaplain, so we get 1 wound on the Von Ryan's Leapers.
6 plus. Nope, take 2 damage.
And then Power Fist attacks on the Psychophage, 6 of them, hitting on 2s re-rolling because it is still the Oath of Moment target. They will hit, and wounding on 5. So we get 2, it's enough.
Yeah, and I can't re-roll any of these, so 5 plus armour. Fail both. Probably going to be killed unless I feel no pain a lot? No. Does it lash out? No.
So the Psychophage is gone, and the Terminators will consolidate back towards the Von Ryan's Leapers, which is important because it means if they get back on the objective and they still hold it.
And it's my pick, so I'll have the Tyranid Prime attack the Chaplain again. And you know what, I'll re-roll that miss because I've got a command point to spend. And they will hit. Wounding on 3s. 4 wounds again at -1.
4 plus saves. Oh, he failed 2, so even with the command point, the Chaplain is dead. And then finally the Infernus Marines can consolidate into the Parasite of Mortrex. They have 12 attacks on 3s. 8 hits, wounding on 5s. Wow, 6 wounds.
6 4+ saves. Right, phew, it only took 2 damage, didn't embarrass itself.
But that'll be it for the end of Tyranids turn 2. On to Space Marines turn 3. I will make the Von Ryan's Leapers the Oath of Moment target, because they now need to be destroyed. The Infernus Marines do become unbattle shocked, and they're not below half strength, so they don't need to take another test in time to control objectives. So I will hold objectives 3 and 4 and get another 10 points, and I will get another command point off objective 4 with Retrieve Intelligence. I'm going to stay in melee with both units. The Infernus Marines, if they fall back, they'll just be charged by the Tyranid Prime, and probably the Parasite as well, whereas here they can shoot it with their pistols and continue to hold objective 3, which I obviously want to deny to the Tyranids. So I'll have 4 pistol shots hitting on 3s. Oh, they all hit. Wounding on 5s. Oh, 2, wow.
4+ armour. Make both. Phew.
Then we're on to the fight phase, where the Von Ryan's Leapers have fights first, and the Tyranids will get to pick a unit after fights first has been done, so both the Tyranid units can go first. And the Infernus Marines have to take a battle shock test, which they succeed this time with an 8.
So the Leapers, still have all 3 of them, so 18 attacks on 3s. 13 hits once again, wounding on 4s. 7 wounds.
7 3+ saves. Failed 2. I'll take that because even with a reroll it will still kill the injured Terminator.
And then the Parasite, do its Ovipositor. It hits, wounds on a 3. I'm going to reroll that. It wounded, AP -2.
So 5+ save. Failed. Yeah, we'll just lose a Marine. Still hold the objective.
And then its Clawed Limbs on 2s, get 5 hits, wounding on 3s. 3 wounds at -1.
4s. Failed 2, so I will use a reroll now because if I succeed, we only lose 1 Marine and still keep the objective, but we fail. So 2 dead Marines. Then I've got my units to fight. I'll do the Terminators first. The Captain hits on 2s, re-rolling, so Oath of Moment now. Well, they will hit anyway. And 4s to wound, gets 2 at -2.
6+ armour. Made both.
Oh, well, the 2 Terminators are going to have to do the job then. Also 2s because of Fury of the First, re-rolling 1s. They will hit. And 3s to wound this time. Right, they do a bit better, we get 4.
6s again. Failed, so that's 1 dead, 2 dead, and 1 wounded left on 1 wound.
And the 2 Infernus Marines on the Parasite, hitting on 3s to get 5. 5s to wound. 2.
4+. Failed both, it's down to 1.
And that's the end of Space Marines turn 3, on to Tyranids turn 3.
I'll get a command point and then I'll do Gather Intelligence on Objective 2. So that's all of the intelligence gathered. We've got battle shock tests to make for the Parasite of Mortrex, the Tyranid Prime, and the Von Ryan's Leapers. So I'll do the Tyranid Prime, he's leadership 7, so he is okay. The Mortrex is leadership 8, so it is okay. And the Leapers are also okay. For my movement, I'm going to move the Termagants towards the middle of the board. I'm going to charge them into the Terminators, hopefully, and take objective, or at least deny objective 4 to the Marines, unless they all die. And I'm going to fall back the Parasite and Mortrex, so that the Tyranid Prime can take its place, and also the Termagants can shoot at the Infernus Marines as I move past. So 10 shots at the Infernus Marines on 4s, 5 hits, wounding on 3s. 3 wounds at no AP.
3+ saves, we fail 1.
In the charge phase, the Tyranid Prime is just going to go directly into the Marines, so I'm not going to bother rolling. While the Termagants are going to charge the Terminators. And they're in with a 4. So the Termagants are going to go in like that. We're going to end up piling it around the Captain, just basically so only the Captain can fight them, and the Terminators have to fight the Von Ryan's Leaper. But I think all of my units get to go first, because I've either charged or have fights first. We'll do the Tyranid Prime first. Hopefully you won't get punched to death later in the turn. 6 attacks on 2s. You know what, I will actually just reroll one of those. 5 hits. 3s to wound, 4 wounds at -1.
4+ saves, we failed 2. I will reroll one of those, try and keep a Marine alive. Into a success, so 1 left, well it kills the wounded one basically.
Do the remaining Leaper next. 6 attacks on 3s, I'm only getting 2. Wounding on 4s, nope.
And the Termagants are going to pile in like that to get more of them on objective 4.
And we'll get about 6 of them within an inch. 6 attacks on 4s, 3 hits. And wounding on 5s, look out. Ooh. 1 wound.
2+. Oh, just. So then the Captain has to fight the Termagants, and the 2 Terminators have to fight the Von Ryan's Leaper. So the Captain has 6 attacks on 2s. This is not the Oath of Moment target, so he misses twice. And he wounds on 3s. Well, he kills only 2 Termagants. And the 2 Terminators hit on 2s, they can re-roll. So the Oath of Moment target is still active. They will hit. And they wound on 3s. They get 4 wounds on that Leaper.
4 6s to live. Nope.
And finally we have the last remaining Infernus Marine. Can he kill the Tyranid Prime? He hits on 3s. Well, he hit once. Wounds on a 5. Oh, it did.
Oh. Didn't say we actually he's going to die, so I've used my reroll.
Yeah, and he's already fought, so he can't fight again on death. That's it for Tyranids turn 3. Ology Space Marines turn 4. So Oath of Moment will go on the Termagants, because I don't need to reroll hits with the Flamethrower against the Parasite of Mortrex, and the Infernus Marine has to take a Battle Shock test. I'm still going to gain no victory points regardless, because he can't hold it with the Parasite there, and obviously I don't hold Objective 4, because it's got too many Termagants on it. Battle Shock, fails anyway with a 5. It's 6+ leadership, so that Infernus Marine can't hold anything anyway. So everyone will stay where they are. The Infernus Marine will use his Flamethrower on the Parasite. D6 automatic hits, 2. You know what, I'm going to re-roll that, because I might as well. Into 5 hits. Wounding on 4s. 2.
4+, made 1. Now I will re-roll the other one, so it trying to keep it alive. Nope, it dies as well.
Future will here again, because I made another mistake. Unfortunately, this one was slightly bigger. I could not have re-rolled that number of shots because the Infernus Marine was battle-shocked, and so unfortunately I might have ended up killing the Parasite of Mortrex when in fact I should not, which might well have affected the outcome of the game. So in this case we can only really apologise. Mistakes do happen, but in this case it was a bad one.
But we're not done yet. Still got to kill all these Termagants and then go and take some objectives.
And again, the Termagants should have been allowed to fight before the Terminators because it was the Space Marine turn. In this case it's very unlikely to make a difference because 8 Termagants are very unlikely to do 2 wounds to a Terminator, but at this point we might as well just award a moral victory to the Tyranids. So again, sorry for the mistakes, unfortunately just one of those days.
So I've got the Captain with his Oath of the Moment target, so we can re-roll that 1. No, into a 1. And then 3s to kill Termagants. Right, killed 4 this time. And the Terminators themselves also hit on 2s. And they wound on 2s. Yeah, they get enough to finish off the unit. So there are no Tyranids left on the board, but it's not the end of the game because they still hold 2 objectives, and it specifically says in the Combat Patrol instructions that we had in the previous issue that if one player has models left and the other doesn't, the other one can play out the rest of their turns. We can do that quite quickly because in Space Marines turn 5, the Infernus Marines Battle Shock test is very important. So if we pass this we gain 10, and then we can move on to the Tyranid objectives and claim a draw. And he succeeds with a 6. Yep. Now I just have to advance far enough to take the Tyranids objectives away so that they will not score in their own turn. For the Terminators and the Captain, that's easy because they just need to roll a 1, which obviously they will do on their advance to get in range of Objective 2. But the Infernus Marine will need to roll more than that. He rolls a 2. Yeah, that is enough to get him just within range of Objective 1, taking that objective and leaving the Tyranids with 0 objectives so they don't score anything in their turn 5, which means it'll be a draw, 30 victory points apiece. Going up to 40 because we both have painted armies, technically. So yes, that's a draw, and we'll recap that game for you now. So that was the game for issue 23 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. How did you think that went?
Well, it's a bit of a slog. My plan worked pretty well, just holding up the Terminators. If my 2 characters could fight Marines, they thoroughly embarrassed themselves by killing to kill the Infernus Marines. Although the Tyranid Prime did take down the Chaplain, I suppose. I should have left the Parasite of Mortrex in combat. Although considering how badly it rolled for its ovipositor attacks, I think the Barb Gaunts just would have been a better choice overall. The Barb Gaunts slowing you down would have made it easier for me to send things around the flanks, so... Because I did really well for Battle Shock.
Yeah, I mean, the Tyranids had great board control, as we imagined, but yeah, the Infernus Marines just kind of refusing to die. Kept you from taking that objective and therefore kept you from having more points, which would have ultimately have swung the game.
Or actually even just killing a unit, because I still held 2. You'd only been able to take 1, even if you killed everything else.
Yeah, I'm not used to the Infernus Marines surviving that long, but not having the Barb Gaunts shooting at them actually means that they didn't take all that much damage before they got to do something. Mind you, they never got to actually shoot properly, so...
Yeah, I was able to shut down... You only got 1 round of shooting, I think, basically. Spent the rest of the game in melee.
And I think I would have preferred to have the Librarian because I didn't really get to use the Chaplain's mobility. Well, I suppose he did drive all the way across the board to reposition away from the Von Rein's Leapers, but the Librarian being able to stand at the back and hold Objective 4 and use Smite might have been more helpful. Even if I had kept the Captain with the Terminators and not put him by himself like I did in the previous game, I still think that would have been a better option. And obviously Oath of Moment, well, it did help. It meant I hit things that I wouldn't have otherwise hit because I've got some rerolls. The Terminators did benefit from it, particularly because of Fury of the First making them hit on 2s with it. Does actually really improve their damage output quite a bit. Definitely, when considering a target for Oath of Moment, I would recommend doing it on the thing you want your Terminators to attack.
Yeah, there's really, unless there's nothing they can charge, basically the entire Space Marine Combat Patrol revolves around the Terminators doing well.
Yeah, they're your damage dealing unit, and the Infernus Marines can deal with hordes, but the Terminators are really there for everything else. Improving them is always worthwhile, it seems. But generally, it does give you some flexibility because you get to change it every turn, but it also means your opponent can distract you with too many things to fight or shoot at. You do usually want to concentrate on the Oath of Moment target to get the most from the buff, so if your opponent gives you multiple things you need to kill, then it does mean you have that decision as to whether accept the slightly less efficient attacking on something else.
And then obviously we've got the first part of the Guardians. We'll talk more about them as a unit on the board when we get to see them in action in the next issue, but not too difficult to put together, I wouldn't say. I guess some of the arms are a little bit fiddly, but I didn't find them all that tricky to put together. And you do obviously get the choice of what arms to put with which bodies and all that sort of thing. They're not locked into any particular pose, but it does make sense to choose a pose that looks dynamic and goes with the movement of the model, so I guess just consider that when you're putting the arms on. But
yeah, and then they are pretty good value for money, I suppose, even though it's spread across 2 issues. It's still less than you'd pay for a full squad of 10 with the...
Yeah, I think it'd be £37 from the Games Workshop store, maybe slightly less at your local shop.
It does come with the parts for the melee version of Guardians as well.
Yes, which is good if you do want to build a larger Eldar army, you get the second unit. You can magnetise or otherwise make it so you can change the weapon on the support platform, though. The Combat Patrol does come with the Star Cannon, but there are 5 options that you get all of, and they're quite easy to magnetise, so you can swap them over if you want to. But we'll talk more about the rules and everything in the next episode. But if you enjoyed this one, then feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Let us know how you've been getting on with your Combat Patrol games. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.